Welcome to the philosophy of success. Here, we seek answers together to the ultimate question: why do some people achieve wealth, power, and inner freedom, while others fade halfway through their journey? Prepare yourself for stories that ignite the soul and ideas you can apply today. Get ready. What lies ahead will reshape everything you believe about your own potential. On a cold autumn evening, as fire crackles in the hearth, I want to share a story, one that changed countless lives. It's about how an ordinary dream became an unstoppable force. Imagine a young man. Poor. Jobless. With nothing but worn clothes and a determination that burned in his eyes. His name was Edwin Barnes. He had no wealthy family, no connections, no education worth mentioning. He could barely afford the train ticket to pursue his vision. But something burned inside him, a fire that marked him as someone willing to transform his life completely. Barnes had a dream that sounds insane: to become not just an employee, but a partner to Thomas Edison, the greatest inventor of the age. When he arrived at Edison's workshop, he looked pathetic. His clothes were threadbare. His pockets were empty. But Edison, a man who could see the spark in people, noticed something. He saw raw determination. Years later, Edison recalled, he looked like a man ready to fight for his dream until his last breath. Barnes didn't get a partnership. He got the most basic job imaginable. But for him, it was the beginning. Instead of complaining, Barnes carried a single thought: I'm here for a reason. I will become Edison's partner. He held this vision like an invisible torch. Every small task reminded him where he was headed. Years passed. Edison invented a new dictaphone. Suddenly, he needed someone who could sell it, someone with fire in their belly and absolute conviction. Other employees dismissed the device. Not Barnes. He poured everything into it. Every conversation. Every presentation. Every client meeting became a mission. The results shattered expectations. Edison was astonished. And then, one day, he said words that changed everything: from now on, we are partners. Do you see what happened? Barnes didn't have wealth. He wasn't an inventor. He had no prestigious education. But he possessed one thing: a desire so intense, so burning, so unshakable that it became unstoppable. Napoleon Hill calls this burning desire the starting point of all achievement. Everything great begins as a thought transformed into an irresistible need. When you want something not as a casual wish, but as something you cannot live without, the world begins to reorganize itself around your goal. Think about the people around you. How many dream vaguely? It would be nice to get rich someday, or maybe I'll start a business eventually. These words evaporate like smoke. They scatter and disappear. But when you declare, I will do this, and that's it, something shifts. Hill shows us examples of people who burned their bridges behind them. They left their old lives with no way back. And that's when desire transforms into a power that moves mountains. Ancient generals would order their ships burned after landing on foreign shores. Soldiers panicked: how do we return? The general replied, now we have only two choices, victory or death. And they won, because retreat was impossible. Desire works the same way. When you abandon doubt, excuses, and hesitation, only one path remains: forward. Barnes didn't tell himself, I'll try if I can. He said, I will do this. Even while sweeping floors in Edison's workshop, he held a crystal-clear image in his heart: himself standing beside Edison as an equal. This certainty is what transforms dreams into reality. In every life, there comes a moment when desire collides with doubt. A whisper: what if it doesn't work? What if I fail? In that moment, everything is decided. Will you let doubt steal your dream, or will you fan desire into an even brighter flame? Ask yourself, what in your life are you willing to endure for? What dream keeps you awake at night? What would you sacrifice everything to achieve? Desire isn't a whim or a passing want. It's when your heart races thinking about your goal. It's when you're ready to face ridicule, hardship, and setback after setback, but you refuse to quit. Edwin Barnes proved it. Burning desire turns a pauper into an innovator's partner. Hill states clearly, every great success begins with one simple, blazing declaration: I want this. Now ask yourself, if tomorrow a door opened, like it did for Barnes, and inside was a chance to transform your life, would you recognize it? Or would you walk past, thinking you're not ready? When we speak of faith, many minds drift to temples, prayers, candles. But the faith Hill describes transcends religion entirely. It's that inner certainty which transforms desire into a force that moves worlds. Remember Edwin Barnes? His desire to partner with Edison could have remained a beautiful fantasy. What made it real? Faith. He didn't just want it, he knew it would happen. Deep within him lived an unshakable conviction. He possessed a vision of the future as though it were already written. All he had to do was wait for it to manifest. Faith is the bridge between thought and action. Without it, desire becomes a weak flame, extinguished by the first doubt. With it, thought becomes a command that the mind, body, and even circumstances obey. Hill often emphasized, faith is a state of mind you can cultivate. It doesn't descend from heaven. You can develop it exactly as you develop a muscle. And here enters a remarkable tool, affirmations, or self-suggestion. Picture a soldier entering battle. If he repeats, I'm weak. I'll fail. The enemy is stronger, his hands shake, his knees buckle. But if he tells himself, I can do this. I am strong. I will prevail, suddenly resolve ignites in his chest. Life works the same way. The words you speak to yourself create the atmosphere within you. They become the background against which your entire life unfolds. If you repeat, I'm a failure. I'm poor. I have no chance, belief in defeat hardens. But if you daily embed new thoughts, I deserve success. I can achieve this. I will rise, a new faith grows from within. Consider the story of a boy who dreamed of becoming a singer. His voice seemed weak. People laughed in the choir. But every day he stood before the mirror, I am a singer. My voice is powerful. I will perform on stages. Years of training passed. His faith in those words worked its magic. Today, that boy fills concert halls. Faith doesn't work as magic. It works as a reprogramming of the mind. When you believe, you act differently. Your steps become firmer. Your eyes bolder. Your voice more certain. Others feel this shift. Hill stated, faith connects with the subconscious. When you repeat a thought over and over, it penetrates deep, becoming a belief. And your subconscious influences every action you take, even which opportunities you notice. Remember buying a new car? Suddenly, you see that model everywhere on the street. You never noticed before. Why? Your mind tuned into a new signal. Faith works identically. When it lives within you, you begin seeing chances that previously went unnoticed. But faith is tested in difficulty. It's easy to believe when everything flows smoothly. The real test comes when storms arrive. A young entrepreneur decided to open a cafe. Friends laughed, you'll go bankrupt in a month. You have no experience, no money, no connections. But he repeated to himself, I can do this. It will work. The first weeks were brutal. Almost empty tables. Expenses climbing. His faith wavered, but he kept lifting himself with words. 6 months later, his cafe became a place people sought out. Those same friends later said, amazed, you're stubborn. The secret? His faith was stronger than ridicule. It kept him afloat until effort produced results. Now imagine someone without faith. He starts a business. The first obstacle breaks him. He searches for excuses. This wasn't for me. I knew it wouldn't work. That's just how it goes. He walks away, never knowing how close he was to breakthrough. Here's another crucial point: faith is contagious. Think of leaders with thousands following them. They possess no superhuman powers, but their confidence spreads to others. A person burning with faith in their mission inspires, even if they have nothing yet. People sense, this person doesn't doubt. Maybe I should believe too. Edison noticed this in Barnes. The young man's faith was so evident that the inventor felt, I can work with this man. Faith shows not in words, but in eyes that shine, in the way you move, how you carry yourself, how you respond to setbacks. Even silence can overflow with faith. But danger exists. Faith works against you if you feed it negativity. A person repeating, I'm always sick. I'll never have money. Nobody loves me, is unconsciously creating that reality. The subconscious doesn't joke. It accepts everything you repeat. That's why Hill insists, feed your subconscious only thoughts that move you toward your goal. Let words of faith become your inner song, playing day after day. And here comes the crucial question to ask yourself, what do I truly believe? Not with words, but deep within. Do I believe I deserve success? Do I believe I can overcome obstacles? Or does belief in failure and fear live in me? These questions aren't easy. Sometimes the honest answer surprises you. But that's where transformation begins. Because faith isn't a gift from fate. It's a choice you make every single day. Now, as the fire dims, ask yourself, if tomorrow obstacles appear, what will my faith say? Will it surrender to doubt? Or will it become a shield that leads me forward? A wise professor once loved telling his students about a curious experiment. He'd place a glass of water on his desk and say, imagine this is medicine. It will energize you. Drink it, and you'll feel alive. Students smiled, but after a few sips, they genuinely felt it. Blood seemed to flow faster. Their eyes cleared. Their thoughts sharpened. You see, the professor said. It's only water. But your mind transformed it into power. This is how self-suggestion works, the remarkable mechanism Hill described. Imagine you possess a key that unlocks your subconscious door. Behind it lies enormous power, ready to execute commands. Your words and thoughts, repeated again and again, are that key. Hill declared, every feeling, every action originates in thought embedded in the subconscious. If you tell yourself daily, I'm weak. I'm a failure, the subconscious accepts this as truth. Your entire organism, like an obedient servant, builds a life matching this script. But if you deliberately hammer in different words, I'm capable. I will succeed. I will win, gradually the subconscious restructures. It begins pushing you toward actions that match this new belief. Watch athletes before competition. They don't just warm up muscles. Many close their eyes and repeat, I'm strong. I'm faster than everyone. I'm a champion. They're programming themselves for victory. And it works. Their bodies obey their mind's commands. But here's what matters, don't just mouth the words. Pour emotion into them. Mechanically saying, I'm rich, changes nothing. But if you close your eyes, picture yourself in your dream home, hear your footsteps on marble stairs, smell coffee in your own kitchen, and then say with feeling, this is mine. I'm building toward this, your subconscious accepts the image as real. Hill shares an example, people who achieved success didn't just dream. Day after day, they convinced themselves of that success until it became their inner truth. When doubt disappeared internally, external circumstances began aligning with their dreams. Watch this play out in ordinary life. A shy young man started working in sales. He trembled calling clients. His voice shook. Sales plummeted. Then he tried self-suggestion. Every morning he looked in the mirror, I'm a confident salesman. I can convince any client. People want to work with me. At first, it felt ridiculous. But within a month, his voice strengthened. In 3 months, clients actively sought him out. His subconscious stopped seeing him as a timid youth. It accepted a new image. There's danger here too. Negative thoughts also take root. A person daily repeating, "I never have money. I'm always sick. Nothing works for me," is essentially casting a spell on their life. The subconscious executes these orders with the same dedication as positive ones. A doctor noticed, patients believing in recovery healed faster. Even serious illnesses retreated from those saying daily, "I will heal." But those surrendering, repeating, "This is the end. I'm defeated," their bodies gave up faster. That's why Hill calls self-suggestion the bridge between faith and action. It's constant reinforcement, like fire fed by dry wood. But it requires discipline. Self-suggestion doesn't work from random words. Make it a daily ritual. Hill recommends writing a precise statement of your goal. How much do you want to earn? What do you want to become? What qualities should you develop? Speak this affirmation aloud, morning and evening, with feeling, as though you already live that reality. Yes, it feels strange standing before a mirror speaking to yourself like this. But that's exactly how you convince your subconscious. You erase old doubts and write new programs. Think of yourself as a gardener. Your subconscious is the soil. Whatever you plant grows. Sow seeds of fear and poverty, and that's your harvest. But if daily you water that soil with seeds of confidence and abundance, eventually a garden of possibilities flourishes. And here's what's remarkable, when faith and self-suggestion merge, you begin acting as though your goal is already in your hands. You walk into interviews not as a beggar, but as someone with value. You speak to clients not as a nervous newcomer, but as an expert. Your steps are bolder because internally you've already accepted, "This is mine." Hill writes, "Whatever the human mind can imagine and believe in, it can achieve." Self-suggestion is the instrument that transforms imagination into belief. But here's the important question, what exactly are you repeating to yourself daily? If someone recorded your inner dialogue and played it back tonight, what would you hear? An encouraging voice? Or constant grumbling and doubt? Because self-suggestion works always, even when you don't realize it. The only question is, what are you suggesting to yourself each day? Now, as night deepens, consider, what words will you speak to yourself tomorrow morning so your subconscious believes in your power? In a small library at the street's end lived a young man. Poor and hungry, but his eyes burned with thirst for knowledge. He read everything, about science, business, great people. One day, he understood, knowledge alone isn't power. Books can gather dust on shelves forever. Until you use them, they remain dead weight. This is exactly what Hill emphasized. Wealth doesn't come from how many books you've read. It comes from using knowledge practically. It's not how much information fills your head, it's how you apply it toward your goals. Look at Thomas Edison. He never finished school. He taught himself, collecting books and running experiments. He had no formal education, but he transformed ideas into working inventions. That's what made him legendary. Hill emphasizes, in today's world, success belongs not to those who know everything, but to those who gather needed knowledge and apply it. Moreover, nobody must be an expert in every field. Far more valuable is surrounding yourself with people who possess the knowledge you need. Remember Henry Ford. Critics often attacked his education. Once in court, opposing lawyers tried making him look foolish, asking complex questions about battle dates, scientific discoveries, historian names. Ford calmly replied, "Why keep all that in my head? I have buttons on my desk. I press one, and within a minute someone arrives who knows the answer." The room froze, then erupted in laughter and applause. Ford revealed a simple truth, it's not about storing all knowledge in your head. It's about gathering and using it. How does an ordinary person apply this? Hill suggests two things. First, identify what knowledge you lack to reach your goal. Second, create a plan to fill those gaps through books, courses, mentors, or assembling a team. Want to open a restaurant? You don't need to become both chef and accountant. Learn the basics, then assemble a team where each person masters their field. That's the real skill. Knowledge becomes power only when directed toward a specific goal. Without clear desire and planning, information becomes chaos, easy to drown in. Think of how many people spend years in university, then don't know where to apply their degree. Meanwhile, someone with modest practical knowledge builds an empire because they know exactly what they want. Hill discovered that many successful people in his research admitted, they weren't the smartest in their field. But they had the ability to organize others' knowledge. That's what made them famous. Picture an orchestra. A violinist might be virtuoso. A flutist might be genius. But without a conductor, music turns to chaos. The leader is the conductor, gathering knowledge and talent around a shared purpose. Here's another crucial point, knowledge must stay alive. The world changes. Yesterday's treasure becomes today's obsolete. Anyone who stops learning falls behind. Hill insists, make learning a lifetime habit. Let each day bring at least a small piece of knowledge you can use. It's like constant mind training. Take a small shopkeeper from a poor neighborhood. He barely scraped by. Then he read books on marketing and customer psychology. He tried new methods, rearranging products, connecting differently with customers, offering small bonuses. Within 2 years, his store was the most popular in the district. He invented nothing new. He simply applied knowledge others ignored. Knowledge without action is buried treasure. It changes nothing until you open it and start spending the coins. So Hill advises, don't collect knowledge for collection's sake. Every time you learn something, ask, how can I use this in my life or business? Also, don't fear asking others for knowledge. Many people are ashamed to admit ignorance, but great people were always students. Even the wisest kings had advisors. In an old city lived a master violin maker. His students thought him all-knowing. But one day they overheard him asking a young apprentice about a new wood treatment method. Master, they said surprised, you're the greatest craftsman. Why ask us? He smiled, while I learn, I live and grow. When I stop asking, I begin dying. That's knowledge. It grows only when we're unafraid to learn from anyone, a book, a mentor, even a child. So ask yourself now, what knowledge would directly bring me closer to my goal right now? What exactly am I missing? Experience? Information? Skills? People around me? The answer might surprise you. Maybe you don't need another book, you need a conversation with someone who's already walked the path. Or practical training that transforms theory into experience. Knowledge is a tool, not baggage. To become power, it must be directed into action. So here's the final question, if tomorrow brings an opportunity, are you ready to use the knowledge you already have? Or will it gather dust in some forgotten corner of your mind? An artist sat by his studio window one evening. Before him lay a blank canvas. It seemed empty, but in his mind danced colors, lines, and images. He saw the finished painting before his brush touched canvas. Napoleon Hill calls imagination the mind's workshop. This is where all ideas, plans, and inventions are born. Everything surrounding us, buildings, machines, books, even that fire we mentioned, was once only a thought in someone's mind. Hill divides imagination into two types, synthetic and creative. Synthetic imagination is combining known elements into something new. An entrepreneur sees someone else's idea and adds their own twist. New businesses, books, and products are born this way. Most successful ventures come from synthetic imagination. Creative imagination strikes like lightning. Thoughts arrive from nowhere, sudden inspiration, epiphany, insight. Scientists often describe solutions appearing in dreams or moments of rest. A musician hears melody within and transcribes it to notes. That's creative imagination. But one rarely works without the other. Inspiration without applying knowledge is just a dream. Dry combination of others' ideas without creative spark rarely produces real value. The Wright brothers, thousands tried building flying machines before them. But they combined imagination with action. They didn't just dream of flight. Step by step, they gathered knowledge, conducted experiments, assembled pieces. Their imagination painted the picture. Their minds made it reality in metal and wood. Or consider a businessman who noticed people waiting hours for food. He asked, "What if we speed this up while keeping quality?" The first fast food restaurant was born. Not a revolutionary invention, old elements combined differently, kitchen, service, marketing in new form. Hill said, "Imagination is a muscle you can train. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes." The best training? Ask yourself constantly, what if? How could I do this differently? Many underestimate fantasy, thinking it's childish play. But all great achievements start with dreams. Remember the boy mesmerized by trains? He fantasized about machines faster and more comfortable. That boy became Henry Ford. His imagination gave the world affordable cars. Or a young store clerk, imagining a shop where customers select items themselves without salespeople hovering. He created the first supermarket. But imagination works best connected to burning desire and specific goals. Without direction, fantasies remain castles in the air. With a goal, imagination begins seeking paths to reach it. Hill advises, daily, find quiet moments where imagination flows freely. Write down ideas, even the crazy ones. Often those become the beginning of greatness. Here's another subtlety, imagination loves company. When people gather and share thoughts, ideas emerge that a solitary mind might never conceive. These are sparks striking when flint meets steel. Hill calls this brainstorming or masterminding. When multiple minds unite, imagination multiplies in power. Picture friends around a fire. One says, "What if we created a device letting people talk across distances?" Another adds, "And it's not bigger than a book." A third laughs, "Everyone could carry it in their pocket." They don't know they're describing future mobile phones. But imagination is already painting tomorrow. Yet imagination requires courage. Many ideas sound foolish at first. People dreaming of flight were called mad. Early automobiles were mocked. Why do we need them when we have horses? But dreamers who trusted their imagination changed the world. So think, what ideas have come to you that you dismissed as ridiculous? Maybe your future success is hidden there. Imagination is the workshop where you create your future before it becomes real. But that workshop's doors open only for those believing their thoughts and ready to act. Ask yourself, if your boldest fantasies could come alive, would you dare turn them into plans? Imagine a treasure hunter setting out to seek riches. He possesses desire. He has faith. He even imagines mountains of gold. But if he ventures blindly without map and compass, he'll easily get lost in forests and deserts. His strength is limited. Hill said, desire is the starting point. But without a plan, it's like a ship without a rudder. To achieve wealth and success, transform your dream into a map marking every step. History shows many examples. A young entrepreneur dreamed of a clothing factory. He was full of inspiration, but he simply started sewing, hoping customers would find him. No plan. No calculations. No strategy. Within a year, he was bankrupt. Another person with the same dream sat down and wrote, "What will I produce, where to source materials, how to attract customers, how much money do I need, when will I recoup my investment?" He had a map. That map, step by step, led him to a thriving business. Hill emphasized, a plan is the practical expression of desire. If you want to achieve a goal but haven't created a concrete route, your dream remains imagination. Plans rarely form perfectly the first time. Usually, the first version fails. Hill assures, there's no tragedy here. Simply build a new plan and try again. Winners aren't those who guess right immediately. They're those who didn't stop after failure. Look at Edison. He searched for filament material for his lamp. Hundreds of experiments ended in failure. But each time, he revised his plan. Finally, he found the answer. I didn't fail 1,000 times, he said. I found 1,000 ways that don't work. That's the power of organized planning. It lets you move forward even when roads lead to dead ends. And here's one more secret, plans almost never form alone. Hill advises assembling a council of wise people, those whose knowledge and experience create a more accurate map. This might be partner teams, mentors, or friends seeing the challenge differently. The Wright brothers weren't wealthy. But they had a plan and support. They worked with engineers. They consulted mechanics. Their flying idea became real because they weren't working alone. Look at life now. How many people overflow with desires but live chaotically, without plans? They want wealth but don't know how. They start something, abandon it, grab something else. Their path resembles throwing darts in darkness. Those with written plans move purposefully. Slowly maybe. With mistakes perhaps. But each step leads forward. Hill says, plans must be flexible. Life doesn't always follow our blueprints. Sometimes the path collapses, and we must find detours. But with a map in hand, it's easier to make adjustments than to wander in darkness again. One young man dreamed of becoming a writer. He didn't just fantasize about fame. He planned, write 1,000 words daily, study the craft, send manuscripts to magazines, accumulate experience. His first stories were rejected dozens of times. But his plan stayed constant. He persisted. Years later, his books were published in large editions. Another person also dreamed of writing fame. He had no plan. He wrote sometimes, procrastinated, waited for inspiration. His dream remained a dream. Hill advised, write your plan. Don't keep it in your head. Paper disciplines. It transforms dreams into concrete steps. Write what you want, by when, through what means. And prepare to pay the price. Every plan has a cost, time, effort, money. Without sacrifice, there's no success. Consider a farmer wanting harvest. If he merely dreams of grain, nothing happens. He must plow, sow, tend through sun and rain. That's his plan. That's his price. Organized planning gives that crucial confidence, the path exists. Even if you can't see the road's end, the map itself whispers, next step, take it. So here's the vital question, do you have your own map, written clearly with timelines and steps? Or does your dream still float like an unclouded sky, drifting aimlessly? Think about it today. Maybe tomorrow, take pen to paper and transform your desire into a route to treasure. Two friends sat in a small cafe one evening. One complained, I can't decide where to work. A bank? Sales? Maybe my own business? But I can't choose. The other smiled, while you're deciding, someone else is acting. By the time you commit, all doors will be taken. Hill calls indecision one of the biggest barriers to success. It's like fog where people wander in circles, losing opportunities. Remember Edwin Barnes? If he'd spent years debating whether to visit Edison, maybe he should wait for better timing, he'd never have become a partner. But he decided. He had no money, no connections. Just one choice, act or delay. He chose action. Hill makes a striking observation, all great leaders make decisions quickly and firmly, changing them slowly if at all. Weak people do the opposite, they decide slowly but abandon easily when difficulty appears. Decisiveness is a door opening only from within. Nobody can choose for you. Others can advise, pressure, convince. But the choice remains yours. Character shows itself here. History knows many examples. Abraham Lincoln suffered countless defeats. Lost elections. Failed businesses. Personal tragedies. But each time, he made a new choice to continue. That decisiveness made him president, a man who changed history. Decisiveness doesn't always mean knowing for certain. Sometimes it means, I choose this path and I'll figure it out as I go. Picture a ship captain. If he stays perpetually in harbor, fearing sea rocks, his vessel rots at the dock. But when he decides to sail, even uncertain of every reef, that voyage itself reveals new maps. Hill notes, indecision is a habit. It grows if fed. It dies when broken by decisive action. A young man dreamed of opening a shoe repair shop. He constantly delayed. No money. Wrong timing. Too much competition. Years passed. His dream aged with him. Another guy, with almost nothing, decided. He rented a tiny corner, bought basic tools, started working. Today his shop grew into a chain. The first guy remains unrealized. Decision is action. No plans come alive until you say, I start. Even a small step in your chosen direction shatters the wall of doubt. People often wait for the perfect moment. But perfect moments don't exist. There's always insufficient money, time, knowledge. Doubts and fears always present themselves. Decisiveness means acting anyway. Hill suggests an exercise, train quick decision-making in small things. Choose your restaurant meal without deliberation. Pick your clothes in seconds. Decide tonight's plans immediately. These little trainings develop the decisiveness muscle. But there's something else crucial, don't let others think for you. Hill underlines, one source of indecision is dependence on others' opinions. How many people abandon dreams only because someone said, that's stupid. You'll fail. Take the safe path instead. True decisiveness is born when you listen to your inner voice, not the crowd's noise. Remember the young artist whose parents said, become a lawyer. There's stability there. But he decided to follow his dream regardless of poverty fears. His paintings now hang in the best galleries. Decisiveness makes life vibrant. Even mistakes made decisively teach more than endless hesitation. Errors educate. Indecision only steals time. Now ask yourself, how many times have you delayed decisions, hoping life would resolve things? How many chances passed simply because you waited? Hill writes, for those who can decide, wealth seems to flow into their hands naturally. The world loves people who know what they want. So here's the question, if tomorrow you faced a choice affecting your entire future, could you decide immediately? Or would you stall until the chance disappears? In a small town lived a young musician. He had an old piano and neighbors perpetually complaining about his scales. Early performances flopped. Audiences yawned. People urged him to quit. This isn't your thing. But he continued. Day after day, he sat at the piano. Even when his hands ached. Even when tears clouded his eyes from disappointment. Years passed. Today, thousands know his name. This story could be about anyone, a singer, inventor, entrepreneur. The essence is one, the world yields to those who don't yield. Napoleon Hill calls persistence the cornerstone of success. You can have burning desire, faith, imagination, and plans. But if you abandon at the first obstacle, you'll never reach your goal. Persistence distinguishes winners from those leaving the road too early. Remember Edwin Barnes? He didn't become Edison's partner on day one. For years, he worked in humble positions. But he never stepped back. His persistence was like a drop wearing away stone. Eventually, Edison trusted him with his chance. Or Edison himself. His 1,000 failed light bulb experiments. Many would have surrendered. But he continued, until darkness scattered before his invention. Hill said, persistence grows from several sources: burning desire, faith, clear goals, habit of action. When desire flames and belief in results lives within, you cannot stop. But there's another source: habit. You can cultivate persistence like muscles. Each time you take a step when you don't want to, you strengthen your character. Watch a runner. Early kilometers are easy. Then comes the moment when legs feel heavy. Breathing breaks. The mind screams, stop. Here's where persistence is born. Those finding strength to continue eventually cross the finish line. Life often tests us. It asks, do you really want this? And sends obstacles, rejections, criticism, failure. Many turn back. Those continuing prove their seriousness to the world. A young entrepreneur opened a store. First months, almost no customers. Friends shook their heads, close it. This is a disaster. But he stubbornly continued, improved displays, changed inventory, spoke with each visitor. Within a year, his store thrived. Within 5, a chain. Hill warns, the biggest mistake is surrendering the moment success is near. Many people quit literally one step before breakthrough. There's a legend about a miner digging a gold vein. Weeks of emptiness. Exhausted, he quit and sold the land. The new owner dug 3 more feet, and found gold where the first man stopped. Persistence requires patience. Results rarely come instantly. But daily efforts accumulate like bricks building fortress walls. Hill advises, if you feel like surrendering, ask yourself, am I really giving up on my goal just because the path is harder than expected? Sometimes persistence is less heroic, simply, one more step today. One tomorrow. Day by day, until mountains stand behind you. There are practical steps for building persistence, a clear goal. Without it, you lack strength to continue. A plan. It reminds you the way forward exists. Faith. It holds you when logic says quit. Mentors or friends. Their support helps you endure. And enemies of persistence: fear, doubt, habit of excuses. A small crack in resolve grows until your dream collapses. Make persistence a habit, start small. Do what you promised yourself, even when nobody watches. Finish what you begin, even small things. Each act strengthens character. Now ask, how many times did you stop too early? How many doors stayed closed because you knocked once and left? Maybe your goal stands very close right now. Maybe success waits around the next turn. But only those continuing will know. Consider, if tomorrow the road becomes harder, will you have the persistence to knock again, take one more step, even when strength fades? A wise storyteller loved repeating, one torch gives light. But unite 10 torches, and night becomes day. Same with people. One mind is strong. But allied minds create miracles. Hill called this the Mastermind principle: 2 or more people united by common purpose, ready to share knowledge, energy, and ideas. Picture a forge. Inside, hot iron is struck, sparks flying everywhere. Similarly, when 2 thinking people converse, sparks of new ideas ignite. One throws a thought. Another adds their view. Suddenly appears something neither alone would have conceived. History brims with examples. Henry Ford and Thomas Edison were friends. They spent hours together. Ford drew inspiration from Edison's inventions. Edison admired Ford's business determination. Their conversations fed each other's genius. Or the famous dinner of 9. 9 millionaire friends gathered in Chicago. They assembled sharing experience, discussing plans, supporting one another. Many achieved incredible success partly because this allied mind gave them power. Hill emphasized, masterminds aren't casual conversations. This is a union based on discipline, trust, and shared goals. Each member contributes knowledge, experience, contacts, energy. Together, they create something greater than individual efforts combined. Picture an orchestra. A violin alone is beautiful. But one violin can't replace a symphony. Only united with flutes, trumpets, and drums does music touch hearts. A mastermind is an orchestra of minds. But one condition is essential: harmony. If jealousy, competition, and distrust fill the group, it collapses. Yet with respect, openness, and mutual help, the mastermind becomes enormously powerful. Hill underlines, wealthy and influential people almost never stand alone. They surround themselves with groups helping them think bigger and act bolder. One entrepreneur admitted, "My company grew not because I'm genius. I had 5 friends. We met weekly. Each brought new ideas. One found clients. Another advised on finances. Without them, I'd still run a small shop." What happens when we face our thoughts alone? We trap ourselves in our own limits, doubts, fears. In an allied mind, someone else illuminates a path we couldn't see. Hill believed that even people's energy merges in a mastermind. He described it almost as electrical current flowing between minds. One person might feel defeated and lost. But surrounded by others, he ignites like a bulb plugged into power. But choose your mastermind carefully. Don't include people dragging downward, whiners, skeptics, the envious. Their energy destroys. A true mastermind builds on positivity and belief in success. Hill advised, if you have a goal, find at least one person believing in it with you. Let your meetings become a place where you nourish each other with ideas and determination. Remember studying lessons with a friend in school? One explained what the other didn't understand. Together, you learned faster and easier. That's a small mastermind example. Adults forget this. They try carrying everything alone. They pride themselves on independence, but exhaust themselves, break, lose faith. Meanwhile, allies could support and help. Ancient wisdom says, one in the field is no warrior. Real victories are won by armies. Even Alexander the Great wouldn't have conquered without generals and troops. Your mastermind is your personal army of minds. Even if just 2 or 3, if they believe in you and help you think wider, your power multiplies many times. So ask yourself, who's beside you? Are there people you can share dreams and visions with without fear of mockery? Do you have allies not just listening but pushing you toward action? Success rarely builds alone. Even seemingly self-made people have teams behind them, family, friends, mentors. Maybe today's the day to consider, who would you invite to create your mastermind? Because that could be the torch transforming your night into day. Ask yourself, if tomorrow you could gather your allied minds, who would sit at that table? In a small village lived a passionate young man. His eyes burned when meeting beautiful girls. His heart raced at romantic thoughts. But instead of channeling this power into creation, he wasted it on empty pleasures, meaningless affairs, loud partying. Years passed. His energy drained. Nothing great remained behind him. Now picture another equally passionate young man. He felt that same fire. But he directed it not just to romance, also to work, creativity, sports. His energy transformed into songs, books, businesses. He became a man remembered for his deeds. Hill spoke of sexual energy as one of humanity's mightiest forces. It can become inspiration, genius, and wealth, if properly transformed. Many wonder, what does this have to do with success in business? Look at history. Almost all great creators and leaders were intensely passionate people. Their energy wasn't confined to intimacy. It overflowed into inventions, paintings, music, businesses. Hill calls this process sublimation, transforming sexual energy into creative power. When people learn to direct passion's force into creation, life reaches new heights. Remember Napoleon Bonaparte? His passion for Josephine inspired his conquests. Look at poets and composers. Their greatest works often emerged under strong emotions' influence. Sexual energy sharpens imagination, intensifies feeling, emboldens the mind. An passionate person feels everything is possible. Direct this energy toward work, miracles happen. But most waste it thoughtlessly. They chase momentary pleasures, burning energy on fleeting affairs. They end up drained, without inspiration. Hill wrote, "Many men achieve real success only after 40. Why? Because by then they've learned to manage their passion, directing it productively. This doesn't require age. Everyone can learn today to transform this force into creative source." How? Hill suggests 3 steps. First, acknowledge the energy exists. Recognize passion and desire as more than biology, as fuel for the mind. Second, find an outlet. This could be work, art, sports, business, any pursuit demanding inspiration and effort. Third, create an atmosphere of love and harmony. When surrounded by someone loved and respected, energy doesn't dissipate into chaos. It transforms into power supporting growth. Love isn't just romance. It's when a person reveals their best self. They want to create, care, build. In these moments, the highest in us awakens. Hill emphasized, the happiest and most successful people unite passion, love, and creativity. Watch great performers. Their stages overflow with passion, enchanting audiences. But this isn't always passion for one person. It's passion for life, work, art. The secret of sexual energy lies in its universality. Direct it downward into pleasure, or upward into creativity. Each chooses alone. Picture a river. It can overflow, flooding villages into chaos. Or flow through mill channels and generators, bringing light and power. Same with our energy. We channel it either downward or upward. But there's another aspect, sexual energy connects to charisma. People channeling it radiate special magnetism. Others gravitate toward them. They become leaders, even without seeking it. Hill said, great leaders possessed powerful magnetism. Their force attracted followers. It's not magic, it's result of managing inner energy. Here emerges the crucial question, how do you use your force? Burn it on momentary pleasures leaving emptiness? Or direct it toward creation outlasting you? Hidden within you might burn a fire illuminating not just your path, but others. Now ask, if tomorrow strong feelings, inspiration, passion appear in your life, where will this energy go? Into brief flashes of pleasure, or into magnificent work transforming your fate? In an old house lived a woman who daily stepped into her garden. She watered flowers, pulled weeds, replanted. Her garden was miraculous. Rarest roses bloomed. Jasmine perfumed the air. Bees hummed. Neighbors wondered, why does everything wilt for us, but your garden's paradise? She smiled, I simply tend what's planted. Hill compares the subconscious to exactly this garden. It accepts everything we plant, good and bad seeds. Then grows a harvest determining our lives. The subconscious doesn't argue or criticize. It's like soil. Plant weeds, they sprout. Plant grain, you harvest bread. That's why Hill says, what nourishes your subconscious determines your future. Every thought, feeling, every word repeated becomes a seed growing internally, eventually sprouting. Picture someone daily insisting, I'll fail. I'm poor. I'm a failure. Their subconscious accepts this as truth, then acts so life matches these words. They miss opportunities themselves, create obstacles unnoticed. Another person tells themselves, I'm capable. I'll succeed. I deserve achievement. Their subconscious believes it too, becomes an ally. It steers toward right people, whispers solutions, strengthens confidence. Your subconscious is your fate's invisible architect. Hill stated, through your subconscious, desire, faith, and imagination unite. It transforms thoughts into plans, plans into actions. But how do you manage this garden? First, through emotion. The subconscious is especially sensitive to feeling. When accompanied by strong emotion, joy, love, fear, anger, it roots quickly. So Hill advises pairing affirmations with emotion. Don't mechanically repeat, I'm wealthy. Say it with fire, as though already holding money, feeling freedom, experiencing joy. Second, through repetition. One spoken thought disappears. But repeated daily, it becomes habit, part of inner being, like water wearing stone. Third, through visualization. The subconscious loves images. The more vividly you imagine your goal, its scent, taste, sound, color, the faster it accepts it as real, seeking manifestation paths. A young man dreamed of his own house. He sketched its plans, pictured entering the living room, heard footsteps on the staircase. Each night he fell asleep with this image. Years later, that exact house appeared in his life. His subconscious led him to decisions he didn't fully understand, but which gradually brought him closer. Yet there's a reverse side. The subconscious doesn't distinguish good from bad. Feed it fears, it builds life from fear. Feed it doubt, doubt manifests. That's why Hill insists, be a vigilant gardener. Don't let weeds take root. Replace them with seeds of confidence and joy. Sometimes people say, my subconscious works against me. Actually, it simply executes what we assigned it. Watch how the brain responds to anxiety. Someone fears failure, and subconscious floods them with failure images, anxious thoughts, even physical trembling. But replace fear with confidence, and subconscious urgently begins finding success proof. One businessman shared, every time I thought a deal would fail, it did. But when I started telling myself this deal will succeed, I began seeing opportunities I'd missed. My subconscious guided me toward right words and actions. The subconscious also works during sleep. Hill advises repeating your goals and desires before bed. Then your subconscious processes them overnight, possibly gifting you solutions at dawn. Many inventors and writers credited their best ideas to sleep. But here's the secret, your subconscious loves clarity. If your goal is vague, I'd like earning more, it doesn't know where to guide. But specific goals, I want earning this amount by that date, give clear commands. Hill compares the subconscious to a powerful engine. It can carry you forward, but only if you steer toward a destination. Without a wheel and map, it circles pointlessly. Now think, what are you planting daily in your garden? What words dominate your internal voice most often? Are they weeds of doubt or seeds of confidence? One day harvest arrives. Then you'll see, your subconscious didn't fail. It simply grew what you planted. If tomorrow your garden blooms, will you want living among those fruits? And here's the question, if your garden flourishes tomorrow, will you embrace the life those blossoms bring? Tonight, as we conclude this journey through philosophy of success, I want to ask you something. What audiobook or idea for your next video would you want to hear? Write about it in the comments. Your suggestion might become our next episode. If you love this, please like this video and subscribe to Philosophy of Success. Don't miss the most important content for your growth and inspiration. Remember, everything begins with a single thought turned into burning desire. Everything. Thank you for being here. Until we meet again.